I never thought I'd wake up screaming in someone else's skin, his hands, clawing at a face that wasn't mine, staring into eyes that mocked me from the mirror. The man who'd ruined my life, Victor Hale, the silver-haired kingpin of Hale Dynamics, had forced me into this nightmare. A body swap engineered in his secret lab, a twisted experiment to bury his sins under my name. And the worst part? I'd spent the last year as Taylor Reeves, the fall guy for his empire's collapse, apologizing on my knees to his spoiled brat of a son while they laughed behind my back. It started with a single email, innocuous on the surface. Taylor, my office. Now, Victor's voice had boomed through the intercom like thunder over the Hudson, pulling me from my cubicle in the bowels of Hale Dynamics' Manhattan headquarters. I'd been there 5 years, grinding through spreadsheets and mergers, the kind of mid-level analyst who dreamed of a corner office but settled for overtime pay to cover my mom's nursing home bills in Queens. That day, the air in the elevator felt thicker, laced with the faint scent of his Cuban cigars, illegal imports. I'd later learn, just the tip of his iceberg. He was waiting behind his desk, a monolithic slab of walnut imported from some European estate, flanked by floor-to-ceiling windows that framed the glittering chaos of Midtown. Victor Hale, 62, broad-shouldered like a retired linebacker, with a jawline that could cut glass and eyes like polished obsidian. He'd built Hale Dynamics from a garage startup in the 90s dot-com bubble into a defense-contracting behemoth, raking in billions from Pentagon deals on drones and surveillance tech. Power clung to him like cologne, expensive, overpowering, and a little nauseating. "Taylor," he said, not looking up from his phone, "we've got a problem." His voice was gravel wrapped in silk, the kind that made interns quiver and VPs nod like bobbleheads. I stood there, heart thudding, because problems at Hale Dynamics never trickled down without blood. He slid a folder across the desk. Inside, ledgers, falsified, millions siphoned into offshore accounts, disguised as R&D for a phantom AI project. My signature at the bottom of every transfer request. Forged, of course, but in the digital age, who checks pixels? "This leak hits the board tomorrow," he continued, finally meeting my eyes. SEC's sniffing around. You know what that means. Framing. It was textbook corporate seppuku, pinning the fraud on the loyal grunt so the king stays crowned. I'd uncovered the discrepancies months ago, buried in a late-night audit, but when I flagged it to HR, naively thinking protocol mattered, nothing happened. Whispers in the break room said Victor's son, Ethan, was the architect, 28, trust fund golden boy with a Wharton MBA and a coke habit that burned through daddy's discretionary funds. Ethan, who'd partied through my promotion, schmoozed the clients I prepped, then bedded my fiancée behind my back. Betrayal doesn't come in waves. It crashes like a freight train. Sarah, my Sarah, had left me 6 months prior, citing irreconcilable differences, but the Post had splashed their affair across page 6. Hale air hooks up with hotshot analyst X. I'd swallowed it, drowned it in 12-hour shifts, because Hale Dynamics was my ticket out of the working-class grind. Mom's Alzheimer's had eaten our savings. I couldn't afford to walk. Now, Victor leaned back, steepling his fingers. "You'll take the hit, Taylor. Resign quietly, sign the NDA, and I'll make it worth your while. Pension intact, maybe a reference." His smile was a shark's grin. "Or we drag your name through the mud. Mom's care? Suddenly very expensive." I wanted to lunge across the desk, smash that smug face into the glass. But I nodded, throat tight, because that's what survival looks like in America, bending until you break. The apology came next, a public gutting. Victor summoned the board, 15 suits from Wall Street wolves to Washington insiders, to the executive dining room overlooking Central Park. Crystal chandeliers dripped light like melting diamonds. Waiters in starched whites poured vintage scotch. Ethan lounged at the head table, smirking over his foie gras, his Armani tie loose like he'd just rolled out of bed. "Taylor has something to say," Victor announced, his arm heavy on my shoulder as he paraded me forward. The room hushed, forks pausing midair. I stood there, script burning in my pocket. Words Victor had dictated. Regret, remorse, a plea for forgiveness from the man whose son I'd slandered with my audit flags. "I'm sorry," I choked out, voice echoing off the paneled walls. "For the errors in judgment. For the disruption to Hale Dynamics and to Ethan." The lie tasted like battery acid. Ethan's eyes gleamed, triumphant, as if he'd won some frat boy prank. Laughter rippled, subtle, but there, like hyenas scenting weakness. Victor clapped me on the back, too hard. Good man. Now get out. As I slunk away, tail between legs, I caught Sarah in the corner, her hand on Ethan's knee, whispering something that made him chuckle. The door clicked shut behind me, sealing my humiliation. That night, in my cramped Astoria walk-up, I hit rock bottom. Bourbon from a plastic flask, Mom's old rosary clutched in my fist, staring at the yellowed ceiling where water stains bloomed like bruises. Sleep came in fits, haunted by ledgers and leers. Then, the call, unknown number, midnight sharp. Taylor Reeves. A voice, synthetic, modulated, like a bad sci-fi flick. You've been selected for enhancement. I laughed, delirious. Enhance this, I muttered, hanging up. But the van was outside at dawn, blacked-out Escalade, plates from a Delaware Shell Corp. 2 suits and Ray-Bans bundled me in, no questions, no cuffs, just a needle prick and blackout. I woke strapped to a gurney in sterile white, fluorescent hum drilling my skull. IVs snaked my arms. Monitors beeped like impatient metronomes. A woman in a lab coat, Dr. Elena Voss, her badge red, loomed over me, syringe in hand. Neural sync initiating. She murmured, German accent crisp as frost. You'll thank us later. Panic surged. What the hell? Then fire, electricity arcing through synapses, vision fracturing into prisms. I saw Victor's face, not from memory, but live, his body convulsing on a parallel slab. Ethan's too, a trio of agony under the lights. Voss chanted metrics, dendrite mapping complete. Corpus callosum bridge engaged. Body swap, not fiction, but Hale's black-budget pet project. Proprietary neural tech, meant for battlefield uploads, soldier minds jumping shells to outlast IEDs. Victor, paranoid visionary, had twisted it for immortality, swapping consciousnesses to dodge accountability, leapfrogging legal nooses into fresh meat. They chose me because I was clean, no family ties beyond a dying mom, no leverage but desperation. Ethan's swap was punishment, Victor said later. Boys screw up too big to ignore. But mine? Insurance. If the fraud cracked open, Taylor Reeves' mind and Victor's body could confess, suicide note style, absolving the Hales. The merge hit like a derailment. I felt his memories bleed in, boardroom conquests, Sarah's moans under his son's touch, the offshore wires I'd signed in digital ink. Betrayal layered deep. Victor had bedded Sarah first, years back, during a company retreat in the Hamptons. She'd confided in me, her harmless fling, but it was leverage, a hook to reel me closer, make me complicit. Worse, the crime I bore wasn't just fraud. Hill Dynamics drones? They'd armed cartels south of the border, laundered through dummy NGOs. A raid in Juarez last year, 50 dead, kids among them, traced to our tech. Victor pinned the approvals on me, backdated emails from my terminal, hacked during that routine maintenance after I flagged the books. I was the ghost in the machine now, Victor's ghost. Released into his penthouse on the Upper East Side. Marble floors, Warhol prints bleeding color. I stared at his reflection, taller, grayer, but armored in entitlement. My old body, locked in a psych ward upstate, doped on Haldol, mumbling about swaps no one believed. Ethan called that afternoon, voice oily through the landline. Dad? You sound off. Board's meeting tomorrow. Don't fuck it up. I hung up, pulse hammering. Revenge wasn't a plan, it was oxygen. First, access. Victor's biometrics unlocked vaults, digital and literal. In his study, a safe yielded flash drives. Unredacted ledgers, Voss's logs on the swap tech, emails chaining Ethan to the cartel deals. The secret festered. Victor hadn't just framed me. He'd greenlit the Juarez op to curry favor with a senator on the defense committee, trading blood for pork barrel billions. But power's a drug, and Victor's veins ran thick. I played the part, attended galas at the Met, schmoozed lobbyists over dry martinis, all while mapping escape vectors. Sarah spotted the fracture first, over dinner at Le Bernardin, her fork pausing mid-bite. Vic, you're different, softer around the eyes. I almost broke character, told her everything. How her betrayal gutted me worse than the fraud, how I'd watch from afar as she climbed Hale's ladder on her back. Instead, I smiled, Victor's smile, and fed her a line about midlife epiphany. She bought it, or pretended to, old habits. The tension coiled like a spring. Bored whispers grew, auditors circling, a whistleblower tip from an ex-employee in accounting. Victor's mind, in whatever limbo Voss had shunted it, fought back. Nightmares where his voice echoed in my skull. You think you can wear my skin? I'll peel it off. Decisions loomed, controversial forks. Do I burn it all? Expose the swaps, the fraud, the deaths, and risk Voss's kill switch, a neural bomb she'd implanted as failsafe? Or play longer, seduce Sarah back, make Ethan watch as I dismantled his legacy piece by piece. America loves its antiheroes. The guy who bends rules until they snap, consequences be damned. I chose the gray, leak fragments to the Times anonymously, watch the Hales squirm while I consolidated power. Ethan cornered me in the elevator one dawn, reeking of last night's debauchery. Dad, what's with the audits? You going soft? His punch was telegraphed, boyish rage. I sidestepped, Victor's bulk an unfamiliar ally. Watch your tone. I growled, his voice from my throat. He backed off, but the seed was planted, doubt. The climax brewed in the boardroom, same as my apology, but inverted. Rain lashed the windows, thunder rumbling like distant artillery. 15 faces turned as I entered, laptop under arm, Voss's drive slotted in. Ethan slouched at my right, Sarah to his left, irony's cruel joke. Gentlemen, ladies, I began, Victor's timbre steady. We've danced around shadows long enough. Projections flickered, ledgers unspooling, cartel manifests, Juarez body counts stamped with Hale seals. Gasps rippled, Ethan's fork clattered. This fraud isn't error. I pressed. It's architecture. Siphoned funds to offshore shells, drones to narcos for political grease. Names dropped. Senator Hargrove, Ethan's coke supplier with ties to the Sinaloa pipeline. Sarah paled, hand withdrawing from his. Ethan lunged. Lies. Dad, what the fuck? I let him unravel. Then the hammer. Voss's footage, grainy but damning. Swap chamber, 3 bodies thrashing, my old voice pleading. Not just fraud, I said, locking eyes with each. This company plays God. Consciousness theft, experimental tech buried in black budgets. Taylor Reeves? Innocent. Me? The thief in the night. Chaos erupted. Calls to counsel, doors slamming. Ethan bolted, Sarah frozen in horror. But the twist? The reversal? Hit as sirens wailed below. Voss burst in, flanked by security, trank, gun drawn. Protocol Omega, she hissed. Revert. Pain lanced my skull, Victor's essence surging back like bile. But I'd anticipated. A backdoor hack, coated in stolen nights, flipped the switch. Voss convulsed, her mind yanked into Ethan's shell. Mother and son fused in irony's cruel weld. Victor's consciousness. Trapped in my old body, upstate, catatonic. The board scattered, but not before votes. Me, as Taylor and Vic, interim CEO. SEC raids followed. Hale Dynamics gutted, assets seized. Sarah? She came crawling back, tears streaking her Chanel, begging forgiveness. I sent her packing with a severance check and a warning. Next time, pick a winner. In the end, justice or hubris. I sit in Victor's penthouse now, overlooking a city that chews dreams and spits bones. Mom's care's covered, top facility in the Berkshires. But mirrors lie. Every glance shows his ghost. Was it revenge, or just swapping one cage for another? America debates its monsters, hero or villain. You tell me. The fallout wasn't fireworks. It was fallout, slow, choking ash settling over what was left of my life. Or Victor's, depending on the lens. The headlines screamed from every newsstand in Penn Station. Hale Dynamics implodes. CEO confesses to cartel ties in bombshell swap scandal. Pundits on CNBC dissected it like a frog in bio class, frothing over the ethics of neural tech. Is this the future of accountability, or a slippery slope to soul theft? Twitter, X now, in this rebranded hell, lit up with memes. My old face photoshopped on a Frankenstein's monster. Ethan's swapped mug captioned, "Family reunion gone wrong." I holed up in the penthouse, blinds drawn against the paparazzi drones buzzing like mechanical hornets. Victor's wine cellar became my bunker. Bottles of 82 Bordeaux uncorked with mechanical pop, each swig a toast to the dead. Dead deals, dead trust, dead illusions of climbing the ladder in this cutthroat coliseum. Calls flooded, lawyers from Skadden ARPs, offering pro bono to set the record straight. Senators' aides, sniffing for dirt on Hargrove. Even Mom's nurse, voice quivering over the line. Mr. Reeves? The news. Is it true? About the bodies in Mexico? I assured her it was handled, wired another check, guilt money, but it bought quiet. Sleep evaded, haunted by echoes. In Victor's dreams, I relived Juarez. Not as numbers, but visceral. The acrid bite of cordite, screams cut short by drone strikes. A child's sandal amid rubble. He'd watched the feed once, from a Situation Room knockoff in the basement lab, chuckling over scotch as Voss tallied collateral efficiency. Betrayal's layers peeled back. I'd borne not just the fraud, but the moral weight, my forged SIGs greenlighting hell because Victor needed a patsy pure enough to sell the lie. Ethan's texts piled up, frantic from whatever burner he clutched in hiding. You motherfucker, give it back. This isn't you. Voss's mind and his body, brittle, analytical, warped his bravado into paranoia. Reports trickled. He'd holed up in a Jersey motel, ranting to hookers about stolen souls, before the feds scooped him for questioning. Sarah vanished to her folks in Connecticut, posting cryptic Insta stories of wine glasses and ocean views, subtext screaming, reinventing. Power's vacuum sucked in opportunists. The board, what's left after indictments, convened virtually, faces pixelated on my iPad like ghosts at a seance. Taylor, said Miriam Lang, the token woman with a Harvard law pedigree and a shark smile. We need stability. Victor's indisposed. Ethan's a liability. You're the known quantity now. Known quantity. I barked a laugh that echoed off the Carrara marble. They didn't know the half. How I'd spent nights in Victor's shell scripting Voss's downfall, or the anonymous drops to ProPublica that cracked the cartel open. But America runs on facades, polished LinkedIn bios over seething resentments. So I nodded, signed the proxy, became Taylor Hale in all but name. The controversial calls mounted, each a razor wire I walked. First, the whistleblower fund. Pour millions from Hale's slush into victims' families. Juarez moms clutching faded photos. Kids with prosthetic limbs from our gifts. Noble? Or laundering blood money? Protesters picketed the lobby, signs scrawled, Hale kills for profit, forcing me to deploy private security. Ex-Marines who drone-piloted the very strikes. Irony is policy. Then Sarah. She slithered back via courier. A manila envelope. No return address, containing a USB and a note in her looping script. I was wrong. Watch this. For us. The drive held home videos, grainy iPhone clips of her and me, pre-betrayal, laughing over takeout tie in my old apartment. Intercut. Her with Ethan, motel sleaze, Victor's shadow in the doorway. Confession? Bait. I watched till dawn, tears hot on Victor's cheeks, his or mine. Then deleted it. Forgiveness is a luxury, revenge a necessity. The tension peaked at the shareholder meet in Vegas. Hale's annual schmooze fest at the Bellagio, slot machines chiming like false promises. I flew private, Gulfstream humming over the Rockies, Voss's residual code itching in my neurons like phantom limbs. Board flanked me, Lang to the left, a grizzled VC named Harlan to the right, both eyeing my throne like vultures a carcass. The ballroom glittered, chandeliers like frozen fireworks, delegates in tuxes nursing highballs. Ethan crashed it, Voss-driven, bursting through the velvet ropes in an ill-fitting suit, eyes wild. Imposter, he shrieked, microphone snatched from the podium. That's not my father. It's Taylor, the fraud you scapegoated. Gasps, then murmurs. Security lunged, but I raised a hand. Victor's hand, steady. Let him speak. The room hushed, a collective held breath. Ethan Voss raved. Swaps, labs, cartel ghosts. Half laughed nervously. The other filed mental notes for SEC tips. I stepped forward, spotlights hot on my brow. Ethan's. Unwell. Family stress. Lies, smooth as silk. But the twist gnawed. In his mania, he spilled unscripted gold. Voss's logs, memorized, detailing how Victor had tested the tech on POWs smuggled from black sites. Mine shredded for calibration. The crowd recoiled. Phones lit up, live tweeting the meltdown. As tasers buzzed and Ethan crumpled, I felt the reversals chill. Power inverted, not just exposing fraud, but birthing a new monster. Shareholders fled to safer stocks. Hale's ticker tanking 40% overnight. Lang cornered me post-chaos, breath whiskey sour. Clean house, Taylor. Or we do. I did. Dawn raid on the lab. Feds intact gear, Voss's blueprints seized. Bodies exhumed from shallow corporate graves. Victor, in my old shell, surfaced in testimony, rambling, broken, pinning everything on Ethan. The son? Voss's mind frayed under interrogation, confessing to the forgeries as efficiency hacks. Truth twisted. I, the victim, puppeteered the strings. But the real hook sank deep that night, alone in the suite overlooking the strip's neon blasphemy. A knock. Sarah, disheveled in a trench coat, rain from a desert squall dripping onto the carpet. I know it's you, she whispered, eyes searching Victor's face for mine. The way you hold your glass. Taylor, please. We talked till the slots below blurred. Her regrets, my rage, the affair's genesis in Victor's coercion. He threatened my career, she sobbed. Said you'd never make it without his nod. Betrayal's root. Not lust, but survival's brutal math. I forgave, or lied to myself I did. Bed followed, sheets tangling in a frenzy of reclamation, bodies borrowed, souls adrift. Morning brought Clarity's knife. She was the leak, the anonymous tip that started the audit cascade, her conscience cracking under guilt. Controversial? Hell yes. Loving the betrayer, betting the enemy. But in America's underbelly, lines blur. We all swap skins to endure. Redemption's a myth peddled by Hallmark and TED Talks, but I chased it anyway, threading the needle between victor and victim in a world that devours the hesitant. Hale dynamics teetered, skeletal staff in the tower, echoes where dealmakers once prowled. I rebranded. Reeves Neural, pivoting to ethical AI for healthcare. Mom's Alzheimer's, a personal crusade masked as profit. Investors bid. Silicon Valley vegans with trust funds, blind to the blood in the blueprint. Yet darkness clung, as Gotham fog. Victor's habits haunted. Midnight cravings for steak tartare at Peter Luger, drives in the Bentley down FDR, radio-tuned to Rush Limbaugh reruns ranting against elites he embodied. His memories surfaced unbidden. A 70s youth dodging draft Dodgers in Detroit, clawing to Wall Street via insider tips that should have landed him in Sing Sing. Power's origin story, not genius, but graft, the American dream's undercarriage greased with lies. Ethan's trial loomed, federal courthouse in Foley Square, a stone fortress against the August humidity. I testified, suit starched, voice level. The fraud was systemic, Your Honor. I inherited the mess. Voss, puppeteering Ethan's husk, glared from the dock, her intellect sharpening his features into something feral. Psych evals deemed her disassociated, but she spat facts, swap logs, victim counts, Victor's sign-off on Juarez as acceptable losses. The prosecution painted me hero, whistleblower in wolf's clothing, but cross-exam gutted that. Defense attorney, a Fox News regular with a comb-over like a bad toupee, grilled. Mr. Hale, or should I say Reeves, you profited from this swap, didn't you? Assumed a billionaire's life while the real Taylor rots. Cameras flashed. Twitter erupted. Body swap scam trending. Polls splitting 48-52 on justice served. Sarah attended, front row, her presence a controversy coiled tight. Post-Vegas, we danced a toxic tango. Dinners at Gramercy Tavern. Her apologies laced with intel from old contacts. Ethan's cracking. She'd whisper over creme brulee. Mentioned a safe in the Hamptons. Deeds to islands. Laundered art. I used it, of course, funneling assets to the fund, but trust? Fractured as fault lines. The real tension brewed internal, the kill switch. Voss had buried it deep, a synaptic Trojan horse triggered by stress spikes. Migraines hit during board calls, visions of Juarez flickering like bad acid. Do I excise it? Risky black market neurosurgery in some Tijuana clinic? Or live with the leash, a reminder that revenge chains the avenger? Decision time, controversial as they come, mercy kill. I visited Victor, my old body, gaunt in a Bellevue ward, eyes vacant as storm clouds. Tubes snaked his arms. Monitors whispered vitals like secrets. Taylor, he croaked, voice mine but timbre broken. End it. He confessed in fragments. The swap. Not punishment, but salvation. Cancer, stage 4, pancreatic, docs gave months. Needed your youth. Clean slate. Betrayal inverted. I'd borne his death sentence too, his sins my shroud. Ethan, collateral, groomed to fail so Victor could retire untainted. I unplugged him that night, nurse distracted by a fire alarm I'd rigged with a burner phone. No drama, just a beep flatlining into silence. Papers called it euthanasia. Activists decried corporate murder. Me? Catharsis, bitter as black coffee. Climax crested at the fun gala. Black tie affair in the Guggenheim spiral. Donors swirling like champagne bubbles. Sarah on my arm. Red gown clinging like regret. Lang cornered us by the Rothko. Shareholders won out. Taylor. This neural pivot? Smoke. Expose the tech fully, or we vote you glass cliff. Glass cliff. The American executive's guillotine, shoving women and minorities off ledges to fix sinking ships. I was both now, imposter and stolen skin. Fully. I echoed. You mean the POW tests? The mind wipes on whistleblowers like me. She blanched. The room hushed as I took the mic, unscripted. Projections again, not just fraud, but the abyss, swap footage of shattered psyches. Juarez orphans' faces morphed into Hale logos. This isn't redemption. I thundered, Victor's baritone booming off spirals. It's reckoning. Hale Dynamics died with its founder. Reeves' neural rises on truth, or not at all. Donors fled, Lang seethed. But the twist, the gut punch reversal, struck as applause trickled from the back. Ethan Voss, released on technicals, slipped through shadows, syringe glinting. For science, she hissed, plunging it into my neck. Fire again, but inverted, not swap, but severance. Voss's code unraveled, my mind, Taylor's, ejected from Victor's shell. I crumpled, watching from above as Sarah screamed, security swarmed. Fade to white. Old body reclaimed, frail but mine, in an ambulance wailing to Mount Sinai. Woke to beeps, Sarah's hand in mine. You're back, she murmured, tears salting the sheets. Ethan, Voss's husk arrested, trial ballooning to conspiracy. The fund, bolstered by scandal, billions pledged. Hale's empire, auctioned, pieces to ethical bidders. Ending, debatable as dawn. I walk now, limping, but free, over Brooklyn Bridge at dusk, Manhattan's lights winking like forgiven sins. Mom smiles in the Berkshires, lucid days bought with blood money cleansed. Sarah stays, or tries. Trust rebuilds in therapy sessions, raw as open wounds. Happy. By tragic? Revenge exposed the fraud, but birth debate. Was I avenger or opportunist, stealing Victor's life as he stole mine? America argues in bars and feeds. Heroes flawed, villains human. Me? I breathe easier in my skin, but mirrors still whisper. Who won, really? The city hums on, indifferent, a beast that swallows stories whole. And in its belly, we all swap souls, chasing the next betrayal.